And I'm live. And Chevy's not. Folks, welcome to the ride with Chevy and Nasty, just in time with
It's a
time
time
zone
change.
Oh my God.
It's a time change got me.
You know what? I'll tell you, a lot of things have gotten me today. And I swear to God, it is all about this crazy time zone change that we decided to do in Alberta. And I guess most of North America is doing it. But you know what, Chev? I'm going to say this right now on the record. I don't like it. I hear guys saying, oh, it doesn't affect me. I'm a trucker. I drive through 4 time zones in a day. I'm like, it does affect me. It does affect me. And I don't think it's a weakness to say that. I'm off schedule and maybe a tad bit irritable today.
I'm affected too, Sheldon. I got like time change or no time change, and we can get into our weekend in a second, but I'm affected today. I don't know if it's a time change, but you're grumpy. I got a headache. We made it to the show. Everyone's joining us. We got Guy joining us. We got Jamin already on board, Rob Evans and Rubio. It is showtime, Chris. And we got a great show for you tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about a few things, Sheldon. We're going to ask this question. It's a very important, maybe a tricky question or a touchy question for the fans. Are Canadian football fans tougher than American football fans? We're gonna dive into this a little bit. We're gonna talk about John Tortorella and his outburst on the bench for the Philadelphia Flyers this weekend and refusing to leave the bench when was asked to do so by the refs. We're going to talk a little bit about backhanded compliments, and this is something you brought up, and I thought it was great, and it leads into something about my mom. And what happens when a star player leaves for free agency, but not just for free agency, but for the rival team. So we got a bunch of things we're going to talk about, Sheldon. It's going to be a great show. We're taking your comments. We love the interaction. It's the Ride with Chevy and Nasty, and we're on right now. It is like it's a 10 p.m. show right now. Jamin chiming in. Yeah, like is it 10 p.m.? Or I guess, you know what? Should we have been on time? Because, I ran in late on camera because I thought we'd do the little time change thing. But is it 10 p.m. or is it 12 p.m.? Like, where are we right now?
I think, I'm so lost already. I think we're actually ahead of schedule now. Like it's like our clocks are on 10 p.m., our body clocks, except we're all thrown off because morning now comes at 4 a.m.
Man, listen, I was up at 5 a.m. this morning. I got to the office early. We had a new guy joining us. I was at a school all day. We're doing some virtual reality fire safety presentations with kids. I was there all day, and then I ran straight back to the office. Had to actually open up my email today from 3:30 to 5 o'clock. Then I went to my son's hockey game. Then I went to my other son's football meeting, and a migraine started at 3 p.m. I started building this migraine, and I'm like, and I am in pain. And calling you between my son's hockey game and his football practice. I called you, and you were grouchy. You're like, I'll call you later. Like, I didn't even have a chance to say hi. Like, Chef, this is Sheldon. This is my impression of Sheldon. Sheldon, how's it going? Were we supposed to call? Were we supposed to talk? Did you text me that we're supposed to talk? Wait, I listen, Amanda, shut the door. I'm grouchy. Chef, were we supposed to talk? And I'm like, no. He's like, or are you just calling me? I'm like, no, I'm just calling you, Sheldon. Talk about the show. He's like, listen, man, I gotta go. I'm like, okay, well, I got a headache. I'm going to my son's practice. I guess we'll chat like before the show. Is that accurate?
That's, honestly, that's as bad as that makes me sound. That's pretty damn accurate there, Chev. But you know how it goes. Like, you're going through your day. You're already off on your sleep schedule. And I know it's just an hour, but it means it's meaningful to my body, right? It throws me off. Then you got the kids in. We just found about a homework assignment that was due yesterday. that we didn't know about that we're scrambling. They're probably still working on it right now. Chev, sometimes you just have one of those days. But the thing that always makes me feel a little bit better
What is that,
is
Sheldon?
a little bit of poetry and the 300-pound poetry. Chev, are you ready to go with this thing? Let's just get this thing kicked off.
Yeah, let's get it kicked off with the poem. Then we'll do our proper intros to everyone out there. Here we go. It's time for your medicine, so pull up a chair. We are 300-pound poets, and we'll treat you with care.
Chevy is hurting, and I am so grumpy. On this Tuesday night, this ride might be bumpy.
Like Tommy and Gina, we are living on a prayer. Come hell or high water, you knew we'd be there.
So let's talk some sports and some other stuff too. What topics we'll choose, well, we haven't really got a clue.
But we will tuck you to bed and say goodnight before you sleep. Listening to, well, probably me in overtime is pretty much like counting sheep.
Because we're Chevy and Nasty, this is our ride. Let's get this show on the road. There's no place to hide.
No, there is no place to hide on Tuesday night when you have a migraine and you want to just go to sleep. You have to, the show must go on, and it does go on. It's the ride. I'm Chevy. He's Nasty. This is the NGBN.TV network. You can tune into us YouTube, Facebook Live. We're on the NGBN.TV network on connected devices, Roku, Android, all that stuff. We're going to be on Apple soon. And just a reminder, the NGBN.TV network, as you know, is a network for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And we are part of a big initiative on April 6th. It's the Equip Ourselves to Save a Life initiative. And we will be doing 2 live sessions from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time and 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time. There it is up there. And we are hosting a suicide awareness training, and that is hosted by Sergeant First Class of the U.S. Army, Craig Hannum. He's an acclaimed award-winning expert on suicide prevention. So join us. Our goal really is to train 100,000 people in suicide awareness and prevention so that you could recognize the signs and symptoms among your family members, your friends, your peer group. We just want to equip people to help combat this epidemic. So that's the NGBN network. We're proud to be part of this initiative, and we're proud to be part of this network.
And the other thing is we're very excited to announce our sponsors and give the people love that keep us going each week. So I want to give a shout out to our segment sponsor tonight, Dream Reach Achieve. Get your sales team to the next level. Go to dreamreachachieve.com today. Amazing group of people really focusing on getting your sales program organized, getting you organized, and following that roadmap to success. Check them out at dreamreachachieve.com.
Yeah, so thanks to them. They've been around since the beginning, and that is our good buddy Bruno that's listening. We know he's listening down. He's in Florida now. But again, if you want to sponsor the show, please reach out to us. You can find us at all our socials at Chevy and Nasty. We need sponsors. We got to pay our girl Jenna. We got the bill today, Sheldon. We got the bill.
Yeah. Got the bill.
We got the bill. So you listen, you want to keep the show rolling. You want to keep the ride going. We want to keep we're not going to call her Mama Jenna because we got one mama on the show, and that's not a mama, but Jenna is our lady. And you know what? We want to keep this thing rolling. So let's roll into the first topic, the one that's going to get Rubio cooked up. Are Canadian fans tougher than American fans? Now, the reason we're asking this question is because there was a report that came out this week. I guess several fans from Kansas City were apparently taken to hospital after the game against the Dolphins, the playoff game, and several of them had to have amputations due to frostbite. So I've never heard of that at a football game in Canada. Like, that's literally like we start playing football in June and it snows in July up here. Well, not necessarily July, but you know what? I have seen snow. Listen, my birthday is June 6th. And for, I think, about 6 training camps with the Stampeders, there was snow on my birthday. But that being said, when we hit playoff weather up here in Canada, the Edmontons, the Saskatchewans, the Calgarys, the Winnipegs, it's damn cold. It's, it could get anywhere from -20 to -30. So there's the American fans, taking off their shirts at the Chiefs game. That's a Chiefs Dolphin game. And I don't know if this guy got taken into the hospital.
Dude, look at his hands. Look at his hands. That's either like the worst like business shirt tan I've ever seen, or this dude's already got frostbite. Did you see those red hands against the white arms?
His hands were like he can't even hold. Yeah, he can't even hold the drink. He's going straight to the hospital. Like you know what? Imagine being at that game, losing your hands, and the Chiefs lose. Like, good thing they won, right? Like, good thing they went all the way. But welcome AC. And what was Rubio say? Due to the weather alone, Canadian fans are tougher. Not even close to my mind. So Rubio agrees with us. He agrees with us. It's great to have the American agreeing with us, but are Canadian fans smarter? Maybe they are.
Chev, it all comes down to the preparation of the game. Like I'm going, football guys, I got to go back on the game film. I'm looking at the shot of that guy. And there's a few things wrong with it. He's doing a few things right, but a few things wrong. One, he's got the facial hair. You got to have that beard in the wintertime, right? It protects the face. It keeps some of the extra heat in. When I go back to my earliest days when I learned football, and I was taught how to play in the snow and in the cold in North Battleford, Saskatchewan with the Vikings, with legendary coach Don Hodgins. So you take a look at my coach and Don Hodgins. He looks a lot like that guy. He didn't have the full beard, but he had the mustache, right? And you know what happens on those cold, frosty days, running up and down the sidelines, screaming at the refs, screaming at the players, calling out the plays. It gets a little frosty. You get these icicles all dripping down, right? Now, you don't break off the icicles because the icicles just add more to the insulation. So he had the icicles like up there protecting the facial hair. But what was wrong with this guy's hands, when they look so red, they're already frostbitten. All you would see Coach Hodge ever doing is standing on the sidelines, hands tucked into the groin, into the front of the pants.
Oh man,
the
Sheldon,
warmest part of your body, right?
Nasty. That reminds. Are you done? Because that reminds me of a great story. So this is a great story. So we'll get back to the fans, but what Sheldon brought up is a great story. So here I am, my first year coaching Adam football. Okay. And the kids, we got to play at McMahon Stadium. It was the big treat for the Adam football teams, get to play at McMahon Stadium. It's September. Okay. It starts snowing, like a snowstorm in September. It's cold. So I'm coaching. Keon Raymond, great Stampeder that we've had on the show before, is coaching. Chris Lewis, former CFL, great Stampeder and Winnipeg Blue Marmor on coaching with me. And we're thinking, oh, you know what we're going to do in pregame warmups? We're going to get the kids to get used to the snow, roll around in the snow, do drills in the snow. And the kids are like, they're going in the snow. They're all excited. The snow's there. They're playing at McMahon Stadium. And then the sun goes down. The sun goes down. And then you look to the sideline and you see little Adam kids with tears in their face. None of them want to come out on the sideline. And just like to get, in those days was like in Adam football, it's 10 men. To get 10 kids on the field was like, it was a struggle. So here you are, you're the coach, and I'm in the huddle, right? And I had this one guy, and I'm going to say his name because I love this kid, and he's turned out to be an awesome football player. Liam DeLay, loved him, love this kid. Just the big offensive lineman, powerful kid, but such a good demeanor. And I'm trying to show the play, and all the kids are frozen, they're crying, like no one's paying attention. They just want to go home. And I'm like, guys, okay, here's the play. And Liam's like, hey coach. I'm like, not now, Liam. And I'm trying to he's like, coach. And I'm like, what is it, Liam? What is so important now? He's like, hey, coach, I realized if we all put our hands down our pants, our hands stay warm. I'm like, oh, truth. Liam, you're a genius. Everyone, hands down your pants. So we had all the kids with their hands down their pants, and we wound up getting through the game. I don't know how the game turned out, but that story about hands down the pants really reminded me of that. But back to the fans, okay? Some people agree that Canadian fans are tougher, and maybe we've been conditioned longer. Like all our best football is played in the winter. But if you look there, that's a picture of one of Jamin's countrymen.
I think that might be Jamin.
That might be Jamin. But look at the difference in the pictures. This is exactly, this guy knew he was going to take his shirt off. He knew it was going to be minus 30, but check it out. Look what he's wearing. He's a smart Canadian boy. Put on the Canadian mittens that he got at Tim Hortons, because you know those are the collector's edition Tim Hortons mittens. And he put those puppies on so he could show his support. And here's a guy in Kansas City that's going to work on Monday with no hands. Like, you got to be smart, bro. You got to be smart, bro. So I guess we've established, unless you guys out there think anything different.
Well,
I think
I've seen a few other great points here too, right? Like Rob Evans asking how much alcohol is involved as well, right? But it's not just how much alcohol is involved. I'll bet you anything this guy's drinking beers up in the stands, right? He's a good, supporting the team, buying beers at concessions. There's none of that in playoff football in Canada. Everybody's got their thermoses packed with hot chocolate, some peppermint schnapps, some hot toddies. It's all about what you consume in the playoffs, right? Plus, the thermos can, a warm drink warms your face, warms your throat, warms your hands, warms your belly. So there's a plan of attack to survive in these cold games. And I feel bad for the people in Kansas City because they just didn't have a chance. They didn't have the skills. They didn't have the tools. They didn't have a coach, Don Hodgins from North Battleford. They didn't have that kid in Adams football in Calgary saying, Coach, if I put my hands down my pants, my fingers are warm.
You know what they say, Sheldon? When you fail to prepare, you prepare to lose your hands.
Yeah, apparently.
I think that's the saying. So I think we'll end that silliness there. We got some really good comments coming in. We love having you guys here on the network. Canadians are probably coating their skin with hot poutine. You know what? Hot poutine would be a great plan if you're going to a cold game. The coldest game I ever played at, you talk about your stories growing up. I remember, I don't know if I think I shared this one on the air, that we did talk about cold games because we're talking about playoff games. But yeah, that game in Winnipeg in 2002, before we went to the Grey Cup, it was a Western, I believe it was either the last game of the season or Western semi, something like that. And it was so damn cold that my hands were so close to the heater that I burnt the hair off my hands because I just couldn't feel the heat. But yeah, when it's cold, you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out for the players, and you definitely got to figure it out for the fans. Because you know what? I'd feel a lot better if I played in a minus 30-degree game in Kansas City and I was a player making a few $1 million, maybe losing a digit or two. I'd have a hard time if I paid like $900 for a ticket and then went home and not only $900 poorer, but now you can only count to 9.
Yeah.
Or 7 or 8. And I'm going too far with this. I will say that, through my work with the fire department, we support, I do a lot of volunteer work with the Calgary Firefighters Burn Treatment Society, and we fund the burn unit at the foothills in Calgary. We do a lot of funding for equipment and all that. And one of the big things that they treat is frostbite. And we do see that a lot. We made light of it in terms of the fans, but this is the time of year where lots of people are being treated for that type of injury. And yet we're seeing it more and more, especially in the homeless communities. And I'm sure that's no different up here. That's no different in Kansas. It's obviously a serious injury, but we want to make light about the fan interaction, the fan experience. And I do think that Canadian fans might be a little bit tougher. Sheldon, what do you think? We'll take a break in a second. We'll throw up the socials. You're following us. We definitely want to have you follow us on all our social channels at Chevy and Nasty, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, X, that whole Instagram. That's where we're pretty active. We're active on all of those. Again, we mentioned our sponsor, Dream Reach Achieve. We mentioned that, we want to pay our girl, Jenna. We want to make her happy. I don't think she's grumpy. She's not grumpy. She's actually the most cheery of us today, but we need some sponsors to keep this thing rolling. We got some great content as you know. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about having your torts and eating it too.
1 week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. And the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers were on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced like the Team Nike 3-on-3 Championship and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
Hello, my name is Charles Schultz, host of The Edge of Greatness. I hope you choose to join me on a journey into discovering the greatness in your life through the exploration of 7 pillars: purpose, mindset, resilience, discipline, commitment, people, and courage. Hope to see you there.
Oh, you know what? My headache is clearing up. My mood is a little better. And I think, you know what, in that line of the poem where I say this is your medicine for the fans, I think it's my medicine, Sheldon. I think being here on a Tuesday night with you, Jenna, everyone that's joining us, from Rob Evans all the way down to Lewiston, Idaho, our man Rubio, out west to the Pacific Coast with AC and everyone in between. Thanks for joining us here on the ride. Lots to talk about. You know what? I'm going to do a little bit of a brag before we go in. Sheldon doesn't know where I'm going with this, but you know, why not? This weekend, it was like back-to-back hockey for my kids. I'm telling you, like, I've been in hockey and sports. I don't even know which way is up. And the boys, my kids, you know, they were playing in a hockey tournament or a hockey playoffs, and they were playing opponents that they hadn't beaten. On Saturday, it was a win and you're in, or lose and you go home. And they were going to the game Saturday night. My 2 older ones, they play on the same team, Luke and Brett. And they're like, yeah, Dad, I don't know. We never beat these guys. I think we're going home. My son, Brett, he's like, Dad, I guess it's time for football season. I'm like, boys, all you got to do is get on the ice, skate your asses off for the first 2 minutes and hit everything that moves. Separate the guys from the pucks. Let them know who you are. And they're going to be scared to play their game. And that's exactly what they did. They won that first game. Much to their own surprise. My son Luke, he had a great game. So did Brett. But Luke's the captain of the team, and he kind of showed it. And then Sunday night they play again, same kind of thing. They played a team that they never beat. I'm like, guys, just set the tone. Well, they were down 2-0. They come back, win it in a shootout. So they're continuing on. My son Kyle, he had a game tonight after 2 big games on the weekend. He scored a hat trick tonight. I almost missed that game because I had to go to football practice. I was like, how do I bounce it? So I went to his game, then I made it to football practice. And in between, I called Grumpy Sheldon. Are you feeling better now?
I am feeling better. This is my medicine. This is my medicine. In fact, like right now, I just seeing some of the interactions here right now. Rob Evans just tagged us in a shot of him from which playoffs was that, Rob? Western Final a few years back. Yeah, I am going to check that out. And
where is that? That's
a little higher up the list. And that is putting a smile on my face. I see that my father-in-law, Ernie Regas, a good friend of the show, a big fan of the show, just followed us from Regina here tonight. And it's late in Regina, but a little shout out to a good friend of ours. And we're talking about men's mental health and what men are going through. He lost his sister this week. And so Ernie, just want to say our hearts are out to you and all of you guys, because we know you got real life going on. I'm honored that you're here watching tonight, and all the best to you. As well, we got Chris Wiggins in Canmore. Chris Wiggins, I'm glad you're watching. He's somebody we've met down the road. Actually, I met him at camping in Lake Koocanusa there, right on the U.S. border, and he's following us tonight. So it's good. I like to see the community grow, and I like to see people get involved.
New friends to the show, and you know what I'm enjoying too is that not only are people listening to us, but they're interacting with each other, and that's where the community starts, right? And I'm thinking of you too, Ernie. I know Sheldon shared the news with me, and I'm glad you were able to bring it up and just offer support from all of us here at NGBN. Also, you know what I love? People don't realize this, but Jenna throws in comments in that there's a private chat because she's the producer of the show. So I'm always flipping back and forth because Jenna always throws in some great comments or some great interaction, but I don't see her on the live chat. So if you see my hand come up, it's because I'm going back and forth. But let's move on. We kind of teased it in the beginning, and when I was thinking about my kids' hockey, the reason I was thinking about kids' hockey coming in is because I was thinking about the topic. And if you're familiar with what happened on the weekend, Philadelphia Flyers were playing Tampa Bay Lightning, and I think it was the game that they were commemorating their two Hall of Famers, Dave Andreychuk and who else were they commemorating there?
I think it was the 2004 reunion. Was it?
Yeah,
not?
you remember the team that actually won the Stanley Cup? Not the team
with an asterisk.
We talked about that last week when we talked about the Flames. Last time they were ever competitive. Like the Flames don't have a celebration of the almost winning team. Tampa Bay Lightning have the celebration of the cup winning team, which they had against the Flyers. And at some point in the game, I guess the Flyers were down pretty bad. And Tortorella, if you don't know him, if you're not a hockey fan, he's got a history of flipping his lid, whether it's on the bench, in the media, in the press room, he just goes off. And everyone says it's just torts being torts, but I don't know if we have that. There he is. There, that picture actually of him on Saturday night losing it. And this particular instance, whatever was said between him and the ref warranted him being sent off the bench. The referee has the power within the rules to send him off the bench, and Tortorella refused. And it was broadcast. It was a national TV game, broadcast nationally. Tortorella throwing F-bombs and expletives at the ref.
Basically what he said is, I'm not going anywhere. And there was a couple of F-bombs in there too. But let's put this game into perspective a little bit though, Chev. We all know that Tortorella is a hothead, right? Absolutely. He's a very successful hothead. But this game, what he got set off is very quickly, a minute and a half of the game, they're down 1-0. Then they get a real questionable holding call. It was on an almost goal that didn't go in. One of their guys called for holding. You go back in the replay, and he's got both hands on the stick. There's no hold. It was a real suspect call. I don't know what the ref saw. That's where he started to get that little tick, right? Now, follow up, they scored their second goal on that, then a third goal, and then there's a play when they're racing down for an icing, right? A contested icing, and the guy trips on the other guy's skates. Maybe there was a bit of a nudge. Maybe it was a bit of a dive. But at that point, it's 4-0, 10 minutes into the game, and Tortorella can't help himself but to say something to the ref. Now, Chev, if you've got 2 or 3 bad calls going against you in the first 10 minutes of a game, does that give you license to address the referees with your displeasure?
I mean, listen, even one bad call, you're gonna voice your displeasure, but everyone knows that a ref can signal you for misconduct at any point, whether it's 1, 2, or on the third offense. Like, they have that power. Now, some refs have a long leash when it comes for that. They know who they're dealing with. They know what's at stake. And some guys might have had bad sushi before the hockey game, and they're pissed. Their computer might have crashed. They might have a migraine. And hearing John Tortorella send them to hell or wherever he was sending them was grounds for them to kick him off the bench. And the thing is, he refused to leave. Can we see that picture again, Jenna? He refused to leave because that was a picture of him refusing to leave. And it was awkward. It was weird because you don't see that often. And it was broadcast. And what I like Torts in terms of he seems like if you kind of peel away all those onion layers of grumpy old man yelling at the sky. And he seems to have the best interests of his players and hockey at heart. When I hear him kind of defend certain points in the past, you kind of dig into his history to see what he stands for. He's not a complete idiot, but in that moment, he looked like an absolute buffoon. And why I didn't like it, and he was fined. I think he was fined like $50,000. Why I didn't like it is this. First of all, people are saying that a 2-game suspension and $50,000 fine is too much. For me, that's right on point. He's got the money to cover it. He's an NHL coach, and you know that if you're going to do something like that, which is blatant and flagrant, you should be filed. But more than that, this is why I have a problem with that, and this is why I have a problem with Tortorella in this instance. When I'm coaching players on the football field, or even when I was coaching in hockey and lacrosse, a lot of times you have to undo certain things, and those certain things that you have to undo as an amateur coach are what kids see guys doing on TV or guys doing in their video games. Like one of the things I am not a big fan of the hockey celebration. When Theo Fleury scored that goal against the Edmonton Oilers way back when, and he slid halfway down the ice, that was like blasphemy in the sport of hockey. When PK Subban, who played with the Montreal Canadiens, every time he celebrated after a goal, people cast him out of the hockey world. He was just terrible disgrace to the game of hockey the way he celebrated. Well, now if you walk around rinks all across Canada and the United States, and you watch kids as small as Timbits and Adam and Novice score a goal, and then doing the scoop slide or the shoot machine gun Alex Ovechkin, where do they get that? They get that from TV and what they see. And when you're an amateur coach standing for what's right in the game, trying to teach these kids that, hey, there's a time and place, and in Adam hockey, that's not the time and place, and you're correcting these bad behaviors or other types of bad behaviors that they see, you're undoing what they see on TV. So that's for the athlete's perspective. Now, what John Tortorella represents for the Philadelphia Flyers, in my opinion, is a leadership role. Not only is he the focal leader, the visible leader of the Philadelphia Flyers, like he's the one that appears on TV as their leader. He has to lead those men, but he is also one of 32 leaders of hockey. And when I saw the reaction to what he did, there was a huge portion of the population that said, you know what? That's bad. That's bad business. But there was another portion of the population in this very anti-authoritarian world that was like, yeah, way to go. Stand up to the ref. Stand up to the man. Now, in this case, the man, the ref, is just doing his job. He's doing his job. Yeah, I mean, he might have had bad sushi. He might have, Tortorella might have set him up.
You know, let me jump in here.
Let me just, sorry, I'm just going to get to my point. Then you jump in. Every amateur coach, every dad that coaches my son Kyle or my son Luke, every dad that coaches young kids. And the problem we're having in hockey right now is that we cannot find referees, because referees in amateur hockey are typically not grown men getting paid a salary. They're young kids, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids that are making $30 a game and oftentimes take abuse from coaches. And the problem is there's no one correcting these amateur coaches. So when they see someone like Tortorella doing what he did, it gives license to all these amateur coaches to do that to some 16-year-old kid. And that's why I think it's wrong.
There you go. You know, I don't disagree with that. In fact, I that trickle down effect of what's acceptable, the culture definitely gets set at the top and gets kind of followed along the way. And it's not just about the kids and it is, Coach Bob in Kindersley, right? That, okay, hey, it's just Torse being Torse. Well, that's just Bob being Bob, right? Everybody knows he's a little bit fiery, but you're right. When it has that trickle down effect on volunteers, it's absolutely unacceptable. Jamin brings up a couple of points here about until the NHL has accountability for the refs, I'm in support of anyone that stands up to the garbage they pull. So in terms of the integrity of the game, that's sort of the opposite approach on it, right? Not looking at the way that it affects the minor leagues, but when the refs start having an impact on the game and accountability. But Jamin, I've got a feeling that they do have some accountability built in, right? Like I think the refs are a lot like players. There's probably some guys that are really solid and some guys that are on the fringe from season to season. They're not sure if they're going to have their contracts renewed. You certainly aren't getting the best, nationally televised games and playoff games when you're a part of a reffing crew that screws it up. Now, that said, I just watched the Flames lose to Carolina 7-1 the other day. The Flames had an off night. They looked terrible. Referees are going to be the same thing. They're going to have an off night. Like you said, maybe it's bad sushi, but they're going to have these nights when I'm not going to put up with one more word out of this guy's mouth. And I think we've all been there when our frustrations are just boiling over. So yes, I agree. We need a certain amount of accountability for our refs. Sports is big business. But Chev, yeah, you know what? You do see that trickle down effect. And it's not just the kids. It is the coaches. It is the 25 to 35-year-old coaches. Nothing against younger guys, right? And God bless anybody that volunteers their time. But when you start visualizing yourself like a Tortorella, and let's not forget, Tortorella is not just a hot-headed coach with zero success.
But Sheldon, I'm going to correct you there. It's not just 25, 30-year-old coaches. It's guys our age.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, my kid is playing. I'm 47 years old. He plays U13 hockey, which would be considered, I think it's Pee-wee. His coaches are my age. Maybe there's a couple of guys a little younger than me, but coaches in that span, and they are.
Yeah, they're dads, right? They're dads.
They are crapping on young kids. It happened a few weeks ago in Alberta. I can't remember, but the video went viral. It was in a small town tournament. And, oftentimes the sad thing is, I mean, first of all, none of these kids are playing for Stanley Cup. No one's getting paid for this. But sometimes it's not just in the top tier leagues. It's everywhere. Everyone's reliving their NHL dreams on frozen ponds and dumpy little rinks all over North America. And part of living their dreams is yelling at the refs. The problem is the people who are reffing aren't equipped to take it. I had two kids, two of my sons, Luke and Brett, the ones I talked about before that play hockey. They both did the refereeing course. They refereed for about a year and a half, and they're like, you know what, Dad, I'm done. He's like, I go there, I get yelled at by coaches, I get yelled at by parents, I get yelled at by everyone. And it's like, one of two things happens. You either learn to deal with it because you love that conflict, and which is a life skill, but you also learn that, you know what, you don't have to put up with people's crap. And that's a life skill too. And unfortunately, enough kids are realizing that they can make $15 an hour slinging burgers and taking no abuse than going to a rink and having, 200-300 people yelling at them because they missed an offside. And sometimes that's what's setting people off. Like not a major call, something so stupid, but because maybe it affected, a face-off or come on, guys, grow up. And again, to the point, for me, what a professional coach represents is that, and they are the mentors. They are the people. Now, listen, I'm a little bit holier than thou. I'm not a coach, but when I play ball hockey, I get heated, and we got some refs, but I've learned my lesson. I got thrown out by this guy in the summer. I was yelling at him. I lost my cool. I absolutely did, but I was playing. I was a player. And you know what? I know he reffed us the last two games that I played. And I said, guys, listen, if we say one word to this guy, he will kick us out. And guess what? Nobody said anything to him. And we took less penalties. And it worked. What he did in the summer, I remember I actually made the greatest play in ball hockey history defensively. And a guy fell and I got a tripping call and I lost my mind because I knew I made a great play. And I lost my mind. So I got the tripping penalty, and then I got a 10-minute misconduct, sitting in the box, feeling shame. And but I remember that moment, and now I don't say anything to him because I know the minute I look at him, he's going to kick me out. But he was a grown man, and I still feel kind of bad for how I reacted towards him. But he's a grown man. You do that to a kid, they're not coming back. And for all the people that thought what Tortorella did was cool, some of them might be coaches, and some of them might be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that too. So I don't know. It just gives license. That's my only point on that. I don't know. Like,
and I'm with you. And Amanda writing in here, it's just like working for an airline, right? When people feel entitled, like they're allowed to talk to you in a certain way. If they're allowed to do it, they're going to do it until you set up those boundaries. I have no doubt that any professional league has to ensure that the reffing is at top quality night in and night out. But that doesn't change the fact that you're not going in there for the abuse. I don't care how much you're getting paid. Their job, in fact, is to keep order. And one of those things is getting to order. If you call, even if it was just you made the call out of the heat of the moment, Torts, you're out, you got to enforce that call. And Torts stuck around for another 4 minutes, challenging him on the bench. Now, I was looking in the eyes of the guys in front of him. Chef, how does that feel? Have you had a coach lose it before on the sideline where he's getting threatened to get out? Another coach is holding him back.
You know what? I've seen that. I can't recall exactly, but I have seen some, usually an assistant coach, right?
Yeah. But when it's your head coach like that, like, does that feel like if I'm sitting there on the bench in front of him, do I feel like, yeah, he's got our back? Or is it like, come on, Torts, shut up, Torts, shut up. Let's just play.
You were in Calgary in 2003 when we had the Labor Day bench clearing brawl, and your coach was a Jim Daly that ran across the field. Yeah, and that made some big news then. I mean, but he wasn't really arguing with anyone. But yeah, I always think, when you see, I don't know, I just think everything's so scrutinized right now. It's really hard for a referee to be a referee. Every call, which again, with technology and stuff, it kind of makes their job a little bit easier, because it's not that a referee missed a call. All games, football, hockey, soccer, basketball, everything. The athletes are so much bigger, faster, stronger. The moves they pull are like, sometimes you blink and you miss something, right? But with technology, and they have the Toronto or the command center, they get calls right. Sometimes they blow calls. It's true. But even in terms of behavior, think about behavior. Like what Torts did today, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, he gets away with it because there's probably half a camera on him. By the time they catch it, they're like, oh, what's going on here? Looks like there's something between Tortorella and the referee. Something happened and he's gone. And now they got, these days you got the camera on him that's been on him the whole time. They could pick the whole thing up, run it in delay as if it's live. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, geez, like this is a big deal. And, if you think back historically, I remember like Jim Playfair when he was the head coach of the Calgary Flames after Sutter left the first time. And he took every stick on the bench and threw it on. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Well. If he did that today, he would be and we had Jim Playfair on our show, if you recall. We had Jim Playfair on our show before he did that. But if he did that today, he'd be looked at the biggest clown. How do you represent an organization in the community?
I agree. I totally agree. And as a head coach, you have to hold him to a higher level. I think with Playfair's case, wasn't that he was just trying to send a message to the players, right?
Well, I don't know who. No, I think it was to the refs. He was it to
off. The refs?
Yeah, he threw the whole bucket on the ice.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he took one.
Yeah, that was probably bad. Yeah, that was probably bad.
And I get people lose their cool, but I guess you got to know where you are.
I think the thing with Torts is he's just done it so many times. Like you look back on his career, he's done. Remember, I can't remember what year it was, but they're playing the Flames, and during the intermission break, he ran down to the Flames changing room to call on Coach. Which coach was that? That was Coach Hartley. Coach Hartley. He was calling Hartley on in the hallway. Right, the cameras followed him the whole way, and there's a certain element of it. And listen, I'm not going to be holier than thou. I sometimes am completely entertained by that. It's like watching that train wreck about to happen, right?
Yeah.
And how they want to represent themselves, great. You might end up looking like a bit of an ass clown at the end of the day. You're changing my mind on it quite a bit, though, in the way that, yes, it does give license to these junior and amateur coaches, right? That's got to change because the culture comes from the top.
Yeah.
But Torts has got a bit of a history of this. Yet he keeps getting chances because he's been named as a finalist for the Jack Adams Trophy, Coach of the Year 5 times.
Yeah,
Jeff.
No, he's
the first American head hockey coach to win 300 games, then 500 games. Like the guy's a legend.
And
how are you going to rein that in?
Yeah, and every time he gets fired from coaching hockey, they scoop him up right away to analyze hockey on one of the major networks. So
he's a character.
Yeah, he's a character. He knows who he is. He knows what he does. Torts is Torts, but in that particular instance, I thought he was wrong. Sheldon, listen, we got to take a break. you're listening to us live. Keep the conversation going. We love seeing all the interaction. I wish I could read it all as you're talking. We see some of it, but thanks so much for being here tonight. I'm Chevy. He's Nasty. This is The Ride. We're on the NGBN.TV network. If you want to follow us on all socials, it's at Chevy and Nasty, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, X. And remember, April 6th, we are going to be trying to save some lives. We got the initiative, Equip Ourselves to Save a Life. Tune in, register at ngbn.tv/save a life. Let's take a break. When we get back, we'll touch on some of the other things we were talking about in the intro.
1 week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. And the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers were on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced like the Team Nike 3-on-3 Championship and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
Are you a business owner or sales professional and want to build and maintain a peak performing premium pricing sales team? Are you and your team finding it difficult to work with clients you want to at the premium prices you deserve? The Professional Sales and Execution Certificate Program will dismiss the sales myths that have limited you and your team and stalled your complete company's growth. Learn all about our PSE secret weapons, including the 98.2 premium presentation that helps build a high-ticket repeat sales network. These absolutely dead simple secret weapons allow you and your team to be yourself and utilize extremely powerful ways to decide which clients you want to work with. If you're ready for a high energy and high power training session that will completely transform you and your team into the envy of your industry, simply click here and register and book now. Get started on your premium pricing high ticket sales execution journey now.
And welcome back. It's The Ride with Chevy and Nasty. Segment 3, Chev. I don't know. Overtime, no overtime tonight. What do you guys think out there?
We'll see. We'll see where we head out. We never know where we're going to go. But, this week was a big NFL free agent frenzy. A lot of players switch teams. We had a lot of guys move on, big signings. Kirk Cousins was a notable one. I thought was surprising to me. Moves on from Minnesota, gets picked up by Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I think he's got like 85 million guaranteed, like something ridiculous. Like good for Kirk Cousins, like he was on that quarterback show on Netflix. He was the lovable guy, the Jesus guy, which was great. And the singing guy, the big chains on his neck guy. And I think everyone kind of had this he's a lovable guy. But can he win? Can he win? Can he bring us to the promised land? And he had some great performances for Minnesota, but you know what he does? He picks up and leaves. And good for him. The Ravens picked up Derrick Henry from the Titans. That's a huge signing. That makes a great team a lot better. What I did notice is we were talking Russell Wilson goes to Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
$1.4 million deal, but 85 million or something of his salary is being paid by the Broncos. So he's laughing all the way to the bank, getting a fresh start on someone else's dime or on his former team.
And talk about a no-brainer for Pittsburgh. Like I almost wonder when into that deal, because if Minnesota's out there looking for a quarterback. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Minnesota fans saying right now, why didn't we get Russell Wilson? Like, why do you think it was Pittsburgh? Like, that's a tough division to be stepping into, right?
Yeah. Oh,
But as a
super tough.
player, right? As a player, that's a tough division to be stepping into. As the Steelers organization, though, you got a couple young quarterbacks you're still trying to bring along. You pick them up for a song. I mean, that's got to be. It's like when Ricky Williams was drafted, he signed that all like a base NFL salary of $350,000 and all incentives. It was just a no-brainer deal for the club.
Well,
Pittsburgh, I think, got better overnight.
Yeah, that was kind of like Baker Mayfield betting on himself, going over to Tampa, playing for a pittance salary, and then now he's making, I think it's like 24 or 30 million this year, 32 next year, and 33 the following year, with about $25 million guaranteed next year. But one interesting note, and I think this is interesting for Canadian football fans because we follow this type of stuff. The Jacksonville Jaguars signed Mac Jones from the Patriots. So they acquire him from the Patriots, which might leave an opening for Nathan
Who's that now?
Rourke.
Who's that?
Mac Jones, who was the starting quarterback of the Patriots the last couple of years. He was a draft pick. He moves on to Jacksonville, which could potentially elevate Nathan Rourke, former BC Lions star quarterback, sat on Jacksonville's practice squad, scooped up by the Patriots. He might actually have an opportunity to compete for a starting job in New England, provided they don't draft someone, which is what it looks like for New England. But what I guess the story for us, we're always looking for the story, and the story for us in free agency, the one that sets up the conversation, is Saquon Barkley. Talked about him for the last couple of years. He great running back. The New York Giants do not slap the franchise tag on him, so he doesn't get top dollar and that protection there. He moves on, but he moves on to the Philadelphia Eagles, the divisional rival, the hated enemy. And what the story is here, Tiki Barber, former New York Giants, Hall of Fame running back, calling him out, saying, "Hey man, you're dead to us. You're dead to us." And they've had a little Twitter beef. And I thought, for me, that's the story. Like, free agency is a big deal. When players move, it's a big deal. You want to know where they go. You want to know what they do. But when they go to a heated rival, does that change things? Does that make you hate that player? All of a sudden you loved him and now you hate him. If someone goes from, I don't know, the Edmonton Eskimos to the Calgary Stampeders, or from the Saskatchewan Roughriders to the Calgary Stampeders, do the fans that they left hate them? Like, what do you think?
Well, first, I think it's a little bit different, like being in those shoes, and obviously not being at that level of stardom. The other name that brings to mind, Marion Hossa, when I think it was 2013, lost to Detroit in the Stanley Cup. The next year, he leaves the Penguins to sign with the Red Wings. And then the Penguins end up beating them. So they kind of got their just desserts. As a fan, it's got to drive you nuts, right? Absolutely. It feels like a betrayal, especially in those programs with all that history. And when you've got a fan base that are like wrestling fans, right? Where the good guys are the good guys and the bad guys are the bad guys. Yeah, it really hurts. But at the end of the day, free agency is free agency. When you're not renewing with a club, you really get to pick your best situation. And do you think in this case was this meant to be an intentional dig on the Giants organization, or is he like just saying, I'm just tired of losing to these guys all the time? I know if they had me in that lineup, what we could do.
I think it was a case of show me the money. I think plain and simple, it was show me the money. But for sure for the fans, it's got to hurt. I mean, listen, when you left Saskatchewan, you played for the Riders. That was your homegrown team. You had your whole province behind you when you played for them. You leave not
only that, Chev. Not only that. Like, the funny thing is, when you're with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Saskatchewan's biggest export back then was Rough Rider fans. It didn't matter which stadium you went to; it was always a third full of green jerseys, and no different than coming to Calgary. And I remember walking on the field for warm-ups, and there's this guy that was always there, right? Always dressed in Riders gear along the Stamp sidelines. And I'd go talk to him. He's, "Hey, DePastic, how's it going? Hey, you guys, I got a feeling you guys are going to win this." Always asking questions, always there to support. Well, the year that I left the Riders and signed with the Stamps, It turns out this guy's a season's ticket holder for the Stampeders. So, the same thing. He's cheering for you all season long till the Riders come into town. Now I walk by the same guy. It's like, Napashchik, you effing traitor. Flipping the double birds. And I'm like, dude, like, you just completely turned on me. Well, you're an effing traitor. I can't believe you came here. I'm like, well, what are you doing here? Are you vacation? No, I work here. I'm like, I work here too, dude. We did the same thing. We came to Calgary for the money, for the job security, for the situation, right? Yeah, and that's all that it is.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I left, I left Edmonton. I tested the waters in the NFL, and then I came back to the CFL. My old midget coach assumes the head coach duties in Edmonton, Danny Machocha. And when I signed with Calgary, he just called me up. He didn't say anything, but he's like, "You're going to Calgary?" He's like, "I would have expected you would have moved closer to your mom in Montreal, but to leave Edmonton for Calgary."
Calgary's a little closer to Montreal, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I don't know. He made me feel bad, and I apologized to him for years later. But it's just, you go where you think your opportunity is. You go where you think you can. Career longevity, earnings, all that plays into when you leave for free agency, and sometimes it happens to be in the rivals team. Sheldon, we got to get out of here. Are we doing overtime? I don't know. I don't know if we're doing.
I think we got some good stuff, but I think we're going to save it for next week. We got some stories. Last thing I'm going to tell is back to my good buddy and father-in-law Ernie, who I know is watching tonight. You know what? When I first came to the Stamps, he was working for the city of Calgary. He was driving bus at this point in his career. And on game day, everybody wears their Riders jerseys. When the Stamps were playing, he would throw on his Stampeders jersey. And that guy took so much flack driving around the city of Regina, but wearing his Stampeders jersey. I'll tell you what, he's still back to a Riders fan today, but for those 4 years, he took a lot of flack backing me up. And I just want to say to those fans that do follow the player when they betray the team, we freaking love you guys, man. It's awesome.
Well, we love all of you. We're Chevy and Nasty. I don't think we're going to overtime, so we're going to let you go. Thanks for joining tonight on NGBN.TV network. Don't forget to follow us on all socials at Chevy and Nasty. We love you guys. April 6th, we're going to save a life. We'll talk again about it next week. See you in a week's time right here on The Ride.